say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming?
Whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight
O'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming,
and the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave?
Oh, Canada, our home and native land, true patriot love in all of us command. With glowing hearts we see thee rise, the true north strong and free. From far and wide, oh Canada, we stand on guard for thee. God keep our land glorious and free. Oh Canada, we stand on guard for thee. Oh Canada, we stand on guard for thee.
It's the Falcon Graphics Tuesday Night Lights Micro Sprint Series. Get ready for action!
All right. Michael Steele has been putting on a clinic so far this season. Tonight, he continues to, or seeks to continue that dominance here at Fairbury Speedway, but looks like he is going to have just a little bit of competition. Hunter Wellman coming out of pseudo retirement to continue racing with us here in the tail end of the Falcon Graphics Tuesday Night Lights Micro Sprint Series. Hunter Wellman, as we see him coming out onto track one more time in the final moments of practice here, at the top of the leaderboard, faster than Michael Steele at this point in practice, faster by almost exactly 1/10 of a second. Can we see Hunter take his second win of the season? Will Michael Steele continue at the front of that classroom teaching these kids how to drive? Well, we're just going to have to wait and find out here. 4 cars showed up today. Michael Steele's biggest competition in the points, Jason Smith, once again only conspicuous by his absence. Then we got Ray Andrews in that 420 machine, 3rd car in points, and so far the only driver in this series to have made every race from the start of the season. Everyone else has missed at least one race for one reason or another. And then we got the 00 newcomer Thomas Huckabee out there holding his own with these boys. he's really, really new to iRacing, really new to this dirt track stuff on iRacing. But man, that young man, he is a fast learner, running right there, only 300ths of a second slower than Ray Andrews in third place. These guys got just a few more minutes left in practice right here to see what these cars got. Track wearing in just a little bit. Talking with Hunter Wellman earlier, he really prefers to really play dangerous with those infield tractor tires you see down there on the bottom of the racetrack. And you see right there, he's getting that car right up tight and close and personal with those white tires. Fast way around the track if you can get that line right, but one slight miscalculation and that tire will end your race. So we're going to have to keep an eye on that, make sure no one gets too up close and personal with those tires. Little over 3.5 minutes remaining in our final practice session here before we go into some heat racing action. 4 cars, we are only going to have one heat race here tonight. That will settle our starting lineup for our 40-lap feature. And I don't expect these boys to get too wild and crazy, maybe a self-spin or two. But there's going to be lots of racetrack out there for these guys to take. Lots of room for them to play with. Shouldn't see too much car-on-car carnage here, hopefully, tonight. Although, you never know when these guys get going. You see Ray Andrews right now. He is following our fastest car on the track, trying to see what Hunter's doing differently than he is. See if he can find a little bit of extra time out there on that racetrack. Definitely looks as though the track is slowing down. Hunter Wellman, his best time in the practice session, 11.15 second lap. Last time across, 11.39. So that track is starting to wear out a little bit, and it looks like they are starting to lose just a little bit of lap time out there. Why don't we hop on board with our fastest car as he comes out of turn 4 there and pounds the outside wall. But he is immediately going to reset the car and come back out onto track. So let's see if we can see what he's doing from his point of view. This is a camera mounted right to the driver's helmet, exactly what he sees out of the front of that race car. See what he does around this racetrack. Don't hear the RPMs getting up too crazy high in this car here. Not saying he is baby footing it around, but maybe he's just trying to get a feel for something different. See if he can maybe use a little less RPM, a little less torque, maybe get a little extra speed. I know that sounds counterintuitive, but that little bit of less power could mean a little bit less wheel spin, meaning more forward motion if you actually get it done right. Right now, this group of cars, Ray Andrews on the bottom, Huckabee following behind. Just getting a little bit of racing action in here, get a little feel for what these cars will do side by side with each other. But before we finish up our practice session here, only 20 seconds remaining, I do want to give a huge shout out to our title sponsor, Falcon Graphics. They have supported us for quite a few seasons here at the Extreme Forces Racing League. Mick Olofsson, he does some amazing paint job work on race cars there over there at Falcon Graphics. If you're looking for an iRacing wrap, definitely get a hold of Mick over there and see what he can do for you. But here we go, practice session is over. No one is going to touch that number 64 machine of Hunter Wellman. Fastest car in practice. But now, ladies and gentlemen, we are getting ready to go green flag racing for our first heat race of the night. And lucky number 1 starting pole position in that 420 machine, Ray Andrews. Thomas Huckabee starting outside of him, drawing the second starting spot. Inside row number 2, we see that pink machine, our points leader, the 5 car, Michael Steele. And coming up, tail end Charlie here, outside of row number 2, starting 4th position, Hunter Wellman in that 64 car. We know that 64 car is fast. We know that 5 car is fast. But Ray Andrews, he's only got to hold them back for 10 laps. Can he do that? Well, we're fixing to find out here. Right now, waiting on Thomas Huckabee to get his car out to the starting grid and getting this show on the road here. Looks like Huckabee is not making it to the starting lineup, so the pace car is going to start rolling off without him. Ray Andrews drew lucky starting spot number 1. Remember, these guys get their heat race starting position based off of a lucky draw. There's no format for previous race finish or practice time to start your heat race in. You just simply get drawn. Whatever spot you get is where you start. Ray Andrews drew lucky number 1. Hunter is getting moved up a row due to Huckabee not taking the green flag here in the heat race. But we see that pace truck has pulled off here. 3 cars on the field. Green flag in the air. Hunter with a great start on that outside will drive away from the 420 car of Ray. As Michael Steele moves to the inside, takes second place. Ray went from first to last in the length of about half a lap, but he is fighting back on the outside, trying to make something happen there in that middle groove. Michael Steele says, "No way, Jose, I am coming back. I do not want to let that 64 car move away from me." Hunter Wellman, though, to an early lead here in our heat race. Looking to start on that top starting position inside of row number 1. Ooh, he makes contact with the outside wall there just ever so slightly. No harm, no foul by the looks of it as he crosses the start-finish line there. 6 laps remaining. Michael Steele is closing that gap. Michael launching that car into the corner, but Hunter getting just a little bit better of a drive off. Being that little bit more reserved, he gets that car pointed a little bit sooner, gets that car accelerating out of the corner just a little bit better than Michael Steele is. But right now, their lap times are neck and neck with each other. In fact, Hunter that time was about a tenth and a half faster, so not really so much neck and neck anymore, but Michael Steele giving it everything he can to keep up with Wellman in the lead. But that gap is starting to grow. Wellman getting into a rhythm here, coming down the front straightaway. 2 laps left in this heat race. He's about to put Thomas Huckabee in that 00 car a lap down. But Michael Steele falling back now, a second and a half behind, taking the white flag. Hunter Wellman just has to make one more lap and he will have that pole position starting spot. Hunter Wellman holding on for the win in heat race number 1. Michael Steele bringing it home in second place. Ray Andrews holding on to third. Thomas Huckabee having some minor issues there towards at the tail end of that heat race, jumping back to pits and will start in 4th place for the feature. And now, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to take a quick little 3-minute break while these guys get one last brief practice session in. And we will see you at the start of the feature. Alright, we are getting ready to go green flag racing here in the Falcon Graphics Tuesday Night Lights Micro Sprint Series. Running these outlaw winged micro sprints. They are about 125 horsepower, just tiny little wing sprint cars, basically a little motorcycle engine on them. But boy, the lightweight, they sure don't feel like they're 125 horsepower. These things rip. And these boys, they gotta harness that horsepower for 40 laps as we go green flag racing here in our feature race here tonight at Fairbury Speedway. Let's take a look at our starting lineup here. This is how they finished in their heat race. 4 cars out here with us tonight. Hunter Wellman won heat race number 1, garnered himself that extra 5 bonus points. That's going to move him up the standings a little bit, but he is so far behind because he missed way too many races. He is just out here for fun at this point. But this man right here, that number 5 car, Michael Steele, our points leader, he's got the most to lose here tonight. Then starting inside of row 3, Ray Andrews in that 420 machine with the 00 of Thomas Huckabee, bringing up the back of this pack. Now we saw Hunter get a great start in that heat race. Can he do the same thing here against that 5 machine? We saw that 5 machine kind of close in for the first couple laps, but then start to fall back after a few. What's going to happen here? Well, we're going to find out because these boys are coming around 3 and 4, and they're going to take the green flag, and we are going to go racing. Great start from that inside line. Hunter Wellman out to an early lead. We even saw Ray Andrews take the battle to that 5 machine of Michael Steele. Michael catching a little bit of that inside tire. Ooh! Huckabee getting turned around. He's going to get it spun back the right direction, going to get it going. We are staying under green here. Huckabee threw it in just a little bit deeper into the corner than Steele did. Made a little bit of contact with the back end of that 5 car and turned himself around. All that action, though, has allowed Hunter Wellman in that 64 machine to pull out. Already 1.2 seconds between him and the 5 machine, and we're only 5 laps into this race. Now Michael Steele, he's no longer got... Ooh, Andrews with issues. Something happened earlier, but could not avoid that infield tire. That is going to hurt that 420 machine. Hopefully he does not have serious damage from that. He did seem to hit it pretty square. He might have gotten away with that. But that is definitely going to cost Andrews a lot of time on this racetrack. Back up front, Hunter Wellman continuing to extend that lead, now about 1.3, 1.4 seconds. In fact, never mind. Michael Steele, that last lap pulled about 0.2 of a second out of that lead. Was the fastest car on track by about 1/10. And that lead continues to shrink just ever so minutely, now down to right around that second mark. Steele not content to let Hunter Wellman go out there. Oh, big wreck, leader involved. Caution flag is out. Take a look at what happened here. Thomas Huckabee seems to have started with him. Oh, sorry, this is a little bit further back. See, this one might be the one we are looking for here. Again, Huckabee coming into, I believe this is turn 1, gets into that outside wall. The car climbs up and then bounces down and collects the 64 of Hunter Wellman. That is unfortunate turn of events right there. Michael Steele sneaking through. Looks like it's going to give Steele the lead. Wellman staying out on track in second. Ray Andrews, big beneficiary on this. That has allowed him to catch back up to these two as we are back green flag racing here. Wellman with a good start on that outside, but Michael Steele's got that preferred inside line there. Able to pull back out to the lead. Andrews trying to take advantage of a mistake here. Wellman back to the bottom here, taking that lead back. Plays it close and dangerous with that infield tractor tire. Did not hit it, did not cause any damage, and that car does not seem to be too hurt from that contact from the 00 car, luckily enough. Right now, though, Hunter Wellman taking the role of class teacher away from Michael Steele, commanding this race from the start. Ooh, Michael Steele, though, making a move to that inside. Ooh, slight contact right there. They keep it straight. They keep it going. Michael Steele moving out to the lead of this race. And we are coming up to the halfway point. Ray falling back as we see him make a little contact with the outside wall there, coming across the start-finish line. He has fallen back. He is running laps about 0.2 of a second, 0.3 of a second slower than our leaders. These two, they are still battling out. Hunter's not happy about losing that lead. He wants it back, but Michael Steele being smooth, he's like, no. Grasshopper is not yet the sensei. I got a few more tricks up my sleeve here to teach you. Sit back there and watch, and he is taking that lead, and he's holding on to it. And coming up to the halfway point of this race, they will hit that next time by. Steele is ever so slightly opening that gap up over Wellman. Not as big as we saw in the heat race. Wellman was able to extend the lead to over 1.3 seconds by the checkered flag. here Steele is holding on to about a half-second lead between the two, or the 64 car and himself. And in third place here we got the 420 machine, Ray Andrews, still holding on, but falling back. I wonder if he maybe hurt that car. We did see that 420 make some solid contact with that infield car, or a tractor tire. And like I said, those tires, they will hurt. They will do serious damage to these cars. It does look like Ray has maybe lost a feeling. He is definitely not getting as close to the inside as these two are here. And we see the battle is going back on. Hunter Wellman reeled that 5 car back in, looking to the outside here in turn 1. Nothing doing there. In fact, he's going to slide back, lose all that time he gained back up. But it's not slowing him down that much. He dove back to the inside. He started closing that gap right back down. But Michael's doing exactly what Michael needs to do here. He is staying tight to that inside, protecting that bottom, making sure that 64 car does not have the opportunity to make a move and make a pass. Going to make Hunter work for it. In fact, that last time by there, Michael Steele ran his fastest lap of the race in 11.59. Hunter almost 0.2 of a second slower, but that last time around there, Hunter was faster than Michael. These guys are going back and forth, back and forth. Hunter's got a pretty solid pace going here. But laps are winding down, 10 laps remaining in this race. Hunter is running out of chances. These guys are clicking off a lap every not quite 12 seconds, so. But right there, we saw what I was talking about earlier perfectly. Michael is diving into the corners a little harder than Hunter is, but Hunter is making up a lot of his pace on that corner exit, through the center and off on the exit. In fact, right there, you saw the 64. He had to back off hard to avoid contact with the 5 car. Michael Steele, though, doing everything he can to keep that 64 behind him. He knows that bottom line is exactly where you want to be, but we've got lap traffic. Ray Andrews running just ahead of these boys right now, but Ray's staying to the outside, trying to stay out of the way. He knows these guys are racing for position, racing for the race win right now. And Ray's going to hold on to third, almost guaranteed anyways, because actually, in fact, it is guaranteed. Looks like Huckabee has pulled off the track. Damage seemingly too bad for him to continue. 4 laps remaining. Ooh, big move from Hunter Wellman there. Almost found a gap. Backed out of it to avoid collecting the 5 car. That got very, very, very close. Great battle here for the win right now. 2 laps remaining, coming around. Should be white flag in the air when they come out of turn 3 and 4 here. Once again, big dive from that 64. They make contact. Hunter felt bad. He backed off of it. Let Steele get back going. That might seal the deal here in this race. Hunter now over a 1.5 seconds back after letting Michael Steele get turned straight and get going. Michael Steele will win here at Fairbury. Hunter Wellman holding on to second after showing a little bit of sportsmanship. Knew he got into the 5 car. Knew that he didn't deserve to win, didn't want to win that way. So he let Michael Steele get the car pointed back the right way. And Michael Steele will hold on to the win. Ray Andrews getting his lap back in that incident and will finish in 3rd place. Huckabee, after an unfortunate outing, only completing 5.5 laps, will finish in 4th. Now, ladies ladies and gentlemen, we are waiting for the top 3 finishers to make their way into the booth here. Great battle for the win there, and a nice display of sportsmanship after we saw the 64 make a hard dive into the corner. Made a little bit of contact with the 5 card. Almost looked like they got away with it for a second, but unfortunately the 5 card did get squirrely and lose a little bit of control. Hunter Wellman felt bad, did the right thing, backed off, allowed the 5 card to get going again, but unfortunately cost himself the win doing so. But looks like we got our 3rd place finisher in the booth here. Ray the Unk Andrews. You got your lap back there after a little bit of a kerfluffle between the top 2. Ray held on to 3rd. And for once, you might have a chance to gain a little bit of points on Michael. But how was that race out there tonight?
Well, truthfully, I didn't run the greatest. I hit that wall so many times there at the end, I couldn't even drive the car. But it was a good race between Michael and Hunter. I was watching them while they were in front of me.
Well, and for sure, like they were the class of the field tonight. They were trading blows back and forth, sometimes even literally. So it must have been quite the entertaining show to watch from behind.
Definitely. Whenever I saw them get together, I told them over the mic that, hey, at least I finished on the lead lap.
Well, you got your lap back, but unfortunately they didn't mess themselves up enough that you were able to get around and take the win away from them. But we did see you make some solid contact with that infield tire there just before the halfway point. Did that hurt the car at all, or?
Oh, yeah. Definitely. I got to where I couldn't turn in the corner, and that hill that we were all trying to stay on up on the inside, the car just wanted to push out to the middle of the track. And then whenever the caution came out, I saw them going in for a quick repair. I figured that was a chance to put us all back on equal playing field.
Well, as equal as it can be when you got those two out there with the kind of pace that they can carry. I mean, we've definitely seen a fair bit of improvement from yourself, and I know that you and Hunter were working together to try to get the times a little bit closer, and not that they were far off, but still a little bit of learning left to do, isn't there?
Definitely, and I appreciate having Hunter and everybody on Wellman Racing that's been trying to help me out and get better throughout everything that people teach me every day on here.
Absolutely, and you did get a few shout-outs there. You got your one viewer sitting at home watching the race cheering you on. So today you got the interview. You might want to give him a shout-out there yourself for supporting you.
I wanted to say hey to Lavina, and I appreciate the stuff you do for us. I want to give a shout out to Justin real quick for the wrap, and you for putting on the broadcast. It's a way for the families of us guys that are trying to race and do stuff on here to get to see what we're doing.
Yeah, we may not hit a huge audience, but we get the ones that matter. Alrighty, Ray. Well, I'll let you go here. I'm sure. But before I do, I'm sure you got a couple other sponsors on that car you want to thank for helping you out, right?
Definitely. I said about Misfits Creations in the wrap with Justin, and then Clint's Auto, and I think Festa Cab, is on the car. Big thanks to them being on cars for me and Justin, and all the wraps on Misfits Creations and stuff.
Alrighty, well, congratulations on the 3rd place finish here tonight, Ray. that definitely will help you close that gap up on second place, seeing as second place couldn't be bothered to join us today.
Yeah, every point counts. That's what I'm counting them points now. Michael's pretty much got it, but I'm gonna at least try to do something about the position I'm in.
Well, today was definitely a step in the right direction, and I was talking with Jason just a little bit there during the warm up, and yeah, he's got real life race cars to work on, so that seems to be what's keeping him away from us.
Understandable.
All right, well, congratulations on the third place, and hopefully we'll see you a few more times in the last 3 races.
Definitely. I'm hoping to talk to you again a few more times. You have a good.
Alrighty, well, it's not usual for us to pull this fella in here at this point in the broadcast, but Michael Steele finishing second after a hard-fought battle. Or sorry, no, I pulled the wrong guy in here, but you know what? We'll make Hunter wait. Hunter was giving you one heck of a battle. I'm a little, wow. I don't know what to say there.
I was about to say I've won just because I'm not upset with Hunter at all for getting into me there. He just was way faster in tree than I was, and I felt like I was making up my ground more on exit. So unfortunately, our lines just happened to meet in the middle right there, and he didn't do it on purpose. But yeah, he knew that both of us were on the lead lap, and he didn't want to take a win that way. So I appreciate that for him. I hate the fact that he hadn't gotten to race with us very much, as I said last week, and yeah, not many people would say, okay, that was on me for sure. I'll take the blame for it. But like I told him, I think it's more of a racing deal. I'm not upset with them at all, and I appreciate the gesture of letting me get back to first.
Oh, for sure. You know, it's not often you see that kind of sportsmanship, especially in racing. And for him to know that and yeah, like you said, it was more of a racing deal. You guys were just battling hard for the win at that point. You're on the white flag or coming to the white flag, and yeah, he was just battling you hard for that win and kind of converged lines. So it wasn't anything necessarily intentional, just trying to get that position on you.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I was lucky to even that caution came out. Was able to get around Hunter because he was flipping and everything. So that helped me get around him in the first place. And then I think I slipped up and let him get back around me on one of the restarts and was able to kind of get back out and get a decent lead. And he's just so freaking good at these cars. And I feel like I'm a good racer, but I'm still learning these cars, and I've raced this track a bunch with UMPs and late models and everything, but never once in a sprint car or micro sprints or anything. So I can see why they don't really use this track for sprint cars in real life, because it just really tough and everything wanted to feed at the outside wall. But yeah, I knew that Hunter is so dang fast in these cars, and he's just had so much time and laps and so comfortable in them that I was doing everything I could just to hold him off and not eat the tires again, because I already had to use quick repair once for literally, I mean, Kokomo all over again, second lap pretty much, just eat a tire.
Well, you definitely did everything you had to do there, and you know you seem to recognize that this was definitely a bottom feeder track. It was almost impossible, if not absolutely impossible, to make that pass on the outside with equally matched cars.
Yeah, this track is, for being a small track, it's so wide in the corners and everything. It's just hard to get, especially with only 4 cars out here, it's hard to get that moisture broken down and kind of widen the track out. So I'm never going to complain. I know that this track is pretty bottom dominant quite a bit. And like I said, I've raced here a bunch in UMPs and late models, and it's pretty dominant for running the bottom for a while. And then it'll really dominant on the top also with big cars. But these things just don't have enough weight, enough anything to really break down the moisture and get it that wide.
Oh, well, you know, and we were talking a lot about the point standings. Like I said at the beginning of the broadcast here, you've pretty much all but wrapped up the championship here in the micro sprints. Came in tonight with a 46-point lead over Jason Smith. Jason unable to make it to race with us tonight, so that's going to extend that points lead a little bit over him. And I'd have to sit down and actually do the math. You might have actually clinched it at this point.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I suck at math, so I'll either let you do that and give me the clinched or whatever. I'm still planning to be here. I'm dreading next week of Charlotte. Just such a big track for these things. Again, it's going to be another one that's really one lane. Unfortunately, just how big the track is with these cars. But um, I plan to be here rest of the way out. Try to continue to win. Especially will be here if I hate that I missed Millbridge earlier in the season. And then I always love Chili Bowl, so I definitely want to make that race.
Well, missing that one race there, middle of this season, has not hurt you, considering this is now win number 7 for you. So you're walking away. You're basically the professor standing at the front of the class at this point, telling these kids, "Hey, this is how it's done."
Yeah, again, I have a lot of dirt experience and a lot other cars beside these things, but these cars, like I said, are still new to me. But that's kind of Dean and I were talking just kind of how to get things better on Monday nights, and like it's kind of why I race these smaller series and everything. That if I can't ever help anybody out or anybody has any questions on anything that they could probably change or do a little bit different, whatever I can. I'm not great at coaching, I'm sure, just because I'm so self-taught, but I can at least show data with like Garage 61, show all my inputs, and kind of help wherever I can. It's again why I race these to just if anybody has any questions, definitely don't hesitate to reach out, and I'll help however I can. I love seeing people succeed and get better.
Absolutely, and that's one thing I love about this league. You know, it's a bunch of guys that are willing to help the others. You know, you may come into, like, you know, like you said, this is a car that you maybe not be most familiar with, even though this season hasn't shown it, but you're still willing to say, like, hey Ray, you know, this is what I'm doing to find the speed. You know, and we saw that earlier in some practice before the race where Ray and Hunter were working together to try to find out where the line was and whatnot.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, that's the only way you're going to get better is by coming out and racing and putting in laps, and especially if you can have faster cars to yeah, it can be hard to catch up to them or follow them for too long, but eventually if you see what they're doing, you're going to fall into their tracks and you're going to be right there with them. Thursday nights, I've seen Mike Hermes, one of my teammates, one of my good buddies, go from man, kind of honestly back in back part of the field. And last season he came on pretty strong and got a lot better. And now on Thursday nights, it's going to probably be a points battle for the championship all the way up to the very last race. So I love helping people, and like I said, I know I'm not the greatest, but if I can give any sort of advice and everything like that, then I'm always willing to.
Absolutely. Well, all right, Michael. Well, you know what? We'll get that sponsor list from you here, and then we'll let you go and continue on with our night.
Yeah, absolutely. As always, Marcy and Vivi for allowing me to do this and always support me, and my parents for always watching and supporting me. Everything they do for me. Still Graphic Designs, Ross Dalton Racing, uh, 51 Race Works, JBM, Peanut Baker Racing, Elite Bait and Tackle, Elite Performance Industries, Elite Crappie Jigs, Mama Tried Welding Caps, Archangel Custom Welding and Fabrication, uh, Rise Bracelets. I think that's all of them.
You think
And
and
and and always y'all for you and Mick and Dean for I always got to give y'all a shout out for ever putting up with us and everything like that. And I know the last couple of weeks of last Tuesday has been pretty dramatic, and then yesterday was pretty rough. So I appreciate y'all for sticking it out and putting up with all of us jackasses.
hey, you know, at the end of the day, we know we got ourselves a pretty solid series of drivers here. Just the Gen 6 was a rough patch with some very difficult tracks in a row. And I don't know, you know, next week might be better with Talladega, but at the same time, it'll be
Uh,
worse.
well, Kansas, we'll have Kansas next before Talladega. So
That's a,
like I told Dean, even Vegas, like it was for being a mile and a half, that track raced a lot more like Atlanta super speedway-ish almost. So yeah, I think if we get Kansas, hopefully it'll be a little bit more spread out. Obviously, people won't be in as much of a rush, hopefully, and we'll just kind of play their cards a little bit safer. So, yeah, I mean, I've kind kind of messed up in Martinsville and caused, I think that was my first caution to calls all season. And I know that I've had a few run-ins with. I mean, I know that we've gotten into it a couple times, and then I think last night was super embarrassing by me wadding up myself and Lingerfelt and one of my teammates and everything, and then my monitor froze on me and really killed me. So, but at least it looked cool. It didn't look like my monitor actually froze. It looked like I just blew it right front. So at least it was good for TV. I hope.
Yeah, and the fact that I was 8 laps down and finished 17th still, it kind of shows how the whole night went as an entirety. Because it was a rough race as far as Bristol goes. But the problem with Bristol is there's little to no place for you to go if something happens in front of you.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, and the banking is just so violent that it's hard to really, even if you do get on the brakes, if you start sliding on whatever, then you're liable to just wipe out also. So yeah, it's just that there's nowhere to go, and it's definitely one of the tougher tracks. I was doing good, got a good amount of stage points, and was doing pretty good up until all my chaos. So yeah, I even like you said, I went in, had I think 8-10 minutes worth of damage required after my monitor froze, and I stuck it out because I knew that I was going to still gain a couple positions in the long run. Those couple positions might help.
Absolutely. And I will say that you kind of threw me off when I finally did find or realize you were right in front of me because I was looking for your light pink car that you normally run, and you were blue.
Yeah, yeah. One of my cousins reached out and we needed a logo. Archangel Custom Welding and Fabrication reached out and needed a logo made, and I've been wanting to do kind of a little bit different colors and change it up a little bit more on Monday night. So I told him I'd do a special paint scheme, and he likes blue, so that's what we went with. So a little bit different colors and everything. I think my daughter's turned into or she likes yellow a lot, so I think I'm gonna have to do a yellow car. Unfortunately, I'm not big on yellow, but she seems to be able to pick out the yellow cars while watching the races a little bit easier.
Well, you know what? And sometimes having that cheerleader might help a guy out.
Yeah, absolutely. She's finally getting into. She's watching Lightning McQueen right now, watching cars, and she's finally getting kind of where she wants to watch and pay attention and kind of starting to realize what's going on a little bit. So yeah, I can't wait to get her. I love her that she's enjoying it more. Can't wait to. I know Marcy watches sometimes, and love watching them. I love having their support, and I can't wait to see Vivi kind of grow up through it, and hopefully the wins mean as much to me as, or much to her as they do to me.
Absolutely. Alrighty. Well, congratulations on win number 7 this year, or this season, Michael. Going to let you go here, continue on, and we'll see you here hopefully shortly in the mini stocks.
Yeah, we're leading that points too. So even with the train wreck of last week, hopefully this week's a little bit better. I'm gonna try to keep myself a little bit better and more under control. So yeah, we got a points championship lead in that, so we'll stick around until we don't have one.
Yeah, you don't quite have the lead in that one. I'm kind of creeping up on you just a little bit, but
Yeah, no,
you still
yeah.
got enough of a cushion that I'm going to have to work hard to catch you.
Yeah, that's I know that I can't if I'm not gonna win it if I don't show up. So I know that you're right there behind me and got to keep me on my toes. So I got to keep my own emotions in check this week.
Alrighty, well, congratulations once again, Michael, and we'll see you shortly.
Yes, sir. Good luck next race.
Alrighty, well, I meant to pull this young fella here in before I misgrabbed the wrong name, but our second place finisher, we're doing the random draw post-race interview tonight, Hunter, apparently against my own will. How are you doing, Hunter?
Not too bad. How about you, man?
Oh, you know, apparently I can't English and can't read names and pulled the wrong driver in for the wrong interview at the wrong time. So here we are.
I can't really judge gaps between cars, so that makes two of us.
Well, at least we saw a little bit of sportsmanship out of you. You realized you made a mistake and you backed out. You gave Michael time to get that car turned back around. Cost you the win or the chance at the win at least in the end, but at least we could see from the outset there on that approach to the last lap that that's not how you wanted to win the race.
For Michael, he's always driven me cleanly, and we're similarly matched in a good amount of cars. So when we can get races like this where it's me and him, it's a lot of fun regardless of who finishes first. But he got the lead from me and he was able to lock down that bottom side, and I just could not get around him tonight. And I had a few opportunities, but the car tonight for some reason was just really aero sensitive. I felt it tonight more than I ever have in these cars, really. Just anytime I tried going to the inside, it would shuffle me back out, or I'd lose my momentum, or something would always happen, and I'd lose that advantage I had. But coming to like 5 or 10 to go, I really tried pushing the car, trying to see if I could get around him, and my last opportunity was right there with 2 to go, and there were a few times throughout the race where I was able to send the car as hard as I could into the corner, and with the distance between me and Michael, I could kind of slip right under him and try to make a move, and that's what I tried doing. I went to go set it up, and I was maybe a couple inches too far forward, and I spun him around. But yeah, that's definitely not how I want to win. Especially, I have no effect on the well. I don't have any horse in the game or horse in the race right now for the points championship. I don't want to mess up his chance any, trying to compete for an odd win here and there. So I just don't like taking wins that way. It's not how I was taught. It's not how I raised. So as soon as I saw him go around, I keyed up, apologized, and just I locked it down until he was able to get all the way. I wasn't gonna take a win or try to take a win off of a stupid incident like that with so little left in the race.
Well, and still, like we saw a hard fought battle the entire race between you and Michael, and I even talked a little bit with Michael about it, where he got out to that lead and he knew that that bottom feed or that track was a bottom only track with the wear in the track, and he did exactly what he had to do. He locked that bottom line down.
These cars don't have a ton of power and they don't have a ton of footing on them. And iRacing, as great as it is, they don't have a ton of dirt tracks that play into the micro strengths. We have Millbridge and the Chili Bowl and Lima Land, kinda, but once you start getting to these tracks that are supposed to race modifieds and late models and sprint cars and things like that, you'll get a really bottom feeder momentum kind of race. And it can be fun to an extent when you get to guys that are just really similar in lap time, but watching two cars chase each other around with no passing isn't exactly super fun.
Well, it's not that it's not super fun. It becomes a chess game that if you don't understand racing can be boring, but if you understand what's actually going on inside those helmets between those two drivers and what's going on that racetrack to, like for you in your position being that car behind trying to force that mistake out of the 5 car or to try to find that little bit, just that inch enough of space there that you could stick your nose down there, it really becomes a high-speed chess match.
And I love when races get like that. The only problem is I am god awful at chess, so I will force a mistake out of a guy and I'll make a mistake myself in the same corner, or I'll set up a pass and just like tonight, I'll misjudge by a few inches, and then me and the guy both go around. So it's just whenever it gets like this, it is really hard to make a move, and it can lead to some really interesting things. But I drew the short stick, I guess.
Well, and we saw opposite ends of the spectrum here. In that heat race, you drove away. You had a 1.2, 1.3 second lead by the end of that heat race. And then, yeah, here in the feature, Michael almost seemed to be kind of just playing his time, knowing that the heat race really, outside of the 5 bonus points for winning the heat, the heat itself didn't really matter. It was getting those points here in the feature, and he played those cards right.
It's usually one of my biggest weaknesses is I can do really good in hot laps and qualifying, and the shorter feature lengths coming from racing go-karts and like official races and stuff, they're all short race distances, and especially with the go-karts, you don't have to deal with anything like tire wear, like equipment wear. You don't really have to deal with attrition. It's a sprint to the finish basically. So I can do really good in like a 10 and a half heat race, but when I have to do 40 laps back to back to back, no mistakes, no nothing. By the end of the feature, I'm really playing defense and I'm off the ball there.
Well, and there's definitely, it is a form of attrition in a way, though, with that 40 lap feature where you run 40 laps straight with, we had one caution tonight. And it just, that mental and physical degradation there, keeping that focus and hitting that line perfectly every lap can, it becomes really easy to make a mistake after 20 or 30 laps.
And so me and Michael were talking before the race started. And we agreed that it really was going to come down to who made the least amount of mistakes tonight because with Fairbury being so wide, yes, it is a bottom feeder track, but if the guy in front makes a mistake, you can get under him and you can pull a crossover depending on where your car is positioned. So I made one too many mistakes tonight, or a few too many, depending on how you look at it. I got the lead early, and then I think something happened to Thomas. I couldn't quite see it, but his car disappeared, and I wasn't paying attention. And I hit him. And
He
then a few laps earlier, I believe Michael had hit a tire or something. So we were both using damaged cars there until once the caution came out, we were both able to repair, and then we were basically on equal tires, equal equipment, equal everything. I was able to get by him on the start, but he just had that finesse and got by me a few laps later. That's pretty much how the race ended.
Yeah, well, I believe Thomas, he found one of the openings in the outside wall, hit it, and then bounced back out in front of you and clipped you.
The wall was nasty here. I remember way back in season 4, back when the dinosaurs were still roaming the earth, I was trying to use that high side with the mini stocks and just I could not get it right. I was all over the place that night. I can't remember if I squeaked by with the win or not, but that it is treacherous, especially with the opening there and forward. It's really hard to get clean laps up on the top.
Absolutely. Alrighty, Hunter, though, I think it's getting to be about that time, so why don't we give a shout out to all those sponsors on that micro stock or micro sprint of yours?
Well, I'll go with the kind of give a shout out to everybody. I have some on this car and some on the others. RJB Automotive, Disabled American Veterans, Captured in Stone, Hairstyles with John, Buckeye, Wendy Baker, Hair Together, I Race for the Kids, a charity race that Tom would know a lot about, the Mahoning County Career and Technical Center, the Valley STEM Plus V2 Academy, Prince by Chelsea, and lastly, my racing team, Wilmington Racing.
Alrighty, well, congratulations on the second place finish there, Hunter. It was a hard fought battle between you and Michael. Unfortunately, Michael came out on top, but you showed him that he's not the only one with some speed in these cars, at least.
Well, I tried. I've been keeping score because I've been running so little races. I think I'm 1 for 3 now trying to beat Michael, unless you count the preseason race, but I don't really count it. But I'm looking forward to having more races with him if I can. I'm looking forward to see what the new season is. I'll try to race more of that. Hopefully, I can get a few more nights off of work and try to make a full points run next season.
Well, I hope so. It's always fun having you out here, Hunter.
Absolutely, I enjoy every second of it.
Alrighty. Talk to you later, and congratulations once again on second.
I will see you soon. Thank you very much.
Alrighty, ladies and gentlemen, that brings us to the end of tonight's race. Hunter Wellman put on a hard charge for second place, or for the lead there, but he unfortunately came up a little short after making a small mistake getting into our eventual winner, of Michael Steele. Hunter pulling off the sportsman move, knew he made a mistake, did not want to win a race after cleaning a guy out of the way, so he held up, let Michael go around and get the win, and settled for second. But next week we are at the dirt track at Charlotte. I hope to see you guys there. Thank you for joining. And yeah, I'm Tom Quiring signing off here. Thank you guys once again.